The Bad Batch is finally here, May 4th, 2021, and this is going to be our breakdown for the entire episode. This does contain spoilers, so if you have not yet seen the Bad Batch episode 1 Aftermath, please go ahead and watch it, and then you can come back and watch this. So the episode began with just like any Clone Wars show, with having the Clone Wars intro from season 7, the very last couple episodes of that, and then it switched over to the Bad Batch. Then it shows us like what time, what is everything happening, like Obi-Wan and Anakin going to Palpatine. It's like recapping a little events of Order 66. General Grievous pleading, going to his planet that he was on, Utapau, and then we see the planet called Kalar, where Depa Billaba and her Padawan Caleb Doom, and if you don't know who Caleb Doom is, he's actually one of the main characters from Star Wars Rebels, and his name is Kanan Jarrus, and I'm a big fan of Star Wars Rebels, and then after we see them, Caleb comes back to Depa Billaba, and he has gathered five clones. 5 clones, and that is Clone Force 99, which is also known as the Bad Batch, of course. Now, what's interesting to me is when I heard Caleb for the very first time, I was like, man, does that sound just like Kanan Jarrus? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So the same actor who plays Kanan in the show Star Wars Rebels actually voiced him, Freddie Prinze Jr. He does have a really deep voice for his age at the time, so I'm like, what? And this is actually not the very first time we're seeing Caleb Doom along with them in Clone Wars. We've actually seen a little shot, season 7, at the very beginning, a little, it's like 2 seconds with him and his master Depa Billaba. Now, while the Bad Batch comes with a plan to deal with a present threat, we actually learned at the same time period, Obi-Wan Kenobi is facing off General Grievous on Utapau, and the war could be over soon. But when Caleb Doom, I shall say the master, when Depa Billaba says to Caleb that he can go with them, Order 66 goes out, and all of the clones are affected except of the Bad Batch. Now, we learn later in the episode that they do not accept Order 66 because of their genetic mutations. However, Echo was a normal clone, but since he's been around everything, he's basically they thought to be dead. Along with now, however, on the contrary, Crosshair, he turned. We'll talk about that a little later. Depa Billaba is killed by the clone troopers. She did sense it a little, like Order 66 sensing all the Jedi, which that means she's definitely one of the most powerful. She stood off for quite a while, but she just could not do it. Caleb escapes, thinking that Hunter we're thinking that all the clones turned bad because he just witnessed his master dying somehow. And then Crosshair wants to follow the order, which they learn means to eliminate all the Jedi, and now Hunter does not agree. Hunter's like the main member, the leader of the Bad Batch, by the way. The Bad Batch returns to Kamino after Caleb Doom escapes, and the planet. If you don't know what Kamino is, it's the planet where the clones are created. They learn that the war is over, and by the way, one of my favorite parts is when Wrecker says, "What is Order 66?" We're gonna be doing like a live stream very soon, talking about the entire episode. It's just a little short breakdown of the entire episode. We're gonna not talk about every single point, but there is some points I really liked. Inside their places, Hunter and Crosshair disagree about following orders. He says good soldiers follow orders, which is exactly what I can't think. Five. So it was the 5 situation. I'm sorry, I just can't remember his name, but season 6, episodes 1 through 4. That is the arc that what Crosshair is going through. Echo and the others agree with Hunter that none of this makes any sense. Echo reveals that the Kaminoans pre-programmed the clones to follow orders without any question. The Bad Batch is immune thanks to the fact that we mentioned that they were engineered with enhanced abilities. And we actually learned that there are only 5 clones that are as powerful as the Bad Batch, and that's actually not including Echo, because Echo was a normal clone. So there is one other clone that we meet. Is called Omega, which there's so many questions we have about her. As a kid, is she force sensitive? Is she a clone of Palpatine with her hair? What special abilities does she have? She's never been outside of Kamino. Where does she come from? Is she the very last? She's not actually the very last clone, but by the way, the Bad Batch, their abilities are this: Hunter increases senses, he's a more he's smarter. Wrecker is stronger than others. Tech is his intelligence is way high. He knows what everything's going on. Crosshair is sharpshooting abilities, and the Echo, however, is immune based on him being more machine now than man. We have to remember that the only reason he's alive is because Anakin Skywalker, so they do know who Anakin Skywalker is, devised a plan to rescue him. And the phase more machine than man was also used by, if it may sound familiar, it was used by Ben Kenobi in Return of the Jedi, talking about Darth Vader. So like the little reference there when he says Anakin actually saved Echo, and now Obi-Wan's talking about Darth Vader being more machine than man. A little poetry there. And so there's an assembly, there's a meeting going on, and Hunter says this is definitely one that we don't want to miss, and I agree. It's where Emperor Palpatine addresses his role, Revenge of the Sith. Ian McDiarmid reprising his role as Palpatine. The Imperial March can be heard playing in the background, and then this is when he says, "The Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire." And one of my favorite parts is, "The attempt on my life has left me scarred." And then Wrecker says, "You could say that again." And then Wrecker is my favorite character by far. I don't know why, but anyway. And then, "But I can assure you, my resolve has never been stronger." And so we see how the clones are being mind-washed, just obeying Palpatine, and the only people who aren't is the Bad Batch. Afterward, the Bad Batch meets Omega, the young girl, who is assisting Lama Su, which Lama Su is actually when Obi-Wan Kenobi in Episode 2 talked to the Kaminoans about the clones. Omega is the only female clone in existence. We don't know how. We don't know if it's Jango girl version. We don't really know much about her. That I'm hoping that we learn more, because she's going to be one of the main characters throughout the entire show. Grand Admiral Tarkin arrives on Kamino to deliver the news that clones may no longer be needed, and that is how they may turn to stormtroopers. I was watching Star Wars Rebels the other day. It looks like his entrance was very similar to Star Wars Rebels, but instead of stormtroopers, there were clone troopers here, and everybody admits that Grand Admiral Tarkin is not a fan of clones. Prime Minister convinces Tarkin to observe the clones in action before cutting off the program and doing that. And then we get cut to a lunchroom scene with the Bad Batch and every other clone. This is a really cool scene. And we have to know, at this time, Anakin's like on Mustafar, I believe, fighting Obi-Wan, because if we watch Revenge of the Sith, that scene where Palpatine's announcing it is when Anakin is on killing the Separatists on Mustafar. Omega comes to hang out with the Bad Batch. She likes them because they do not fit in, and she does not fit in because she's the only girl. And then food fight starts. Tarkin was watching it. Echo sees him and recognizes him from when he technically almost died on the Citadel. So he knows that he's not a fan of clones. In the lab, the medical droid reveals that CT-1409 Echo and the other clones are generally defective, genetically, and none of them are surprised because the tech says they are more deviant than defective. If someone called you defective, you would definitely try to reword that, of course. They leave the medical bay to answer to answer what they have been called to. They end up in a simulation that Tarkin has put them to. And Tarkin orders live rounds after they have successfully done it, and the Prime Minister does not like that because it can damage them, being very dangerous, and as well as the facility. But the Bad Batch is only equipped with stuns. However, they still manage to triumph using their non-standard methods. Like, they're not following orders; they do it their own unique way, which we've seen throughout Clone Wars Season 7 as well. Tarkin says that someone in the Bad Batch filed a report saying that they let the Padawan Caleb Doom escape from Kalar, which is obviously Crosshair as well. He sends the Bad Batch on a mission that they need to eliminate a group of insurgents. And the word insurgents is actually used many times throughout Star Wars Rebels too. And we can expect many things similar to that because Dave Filoni is working on this show. So he sends Omega warns Hunter that Tarkin is not a good man, should not be trusted, and that Kamino is dangerous for both of them, all of them, and they should not return back no matter what. Anyway, the insurgents end up being a group of people, regular civilians, that include old people and young people. Hunter refuses to attack them, thinking that it was only going to be droids, and they meet Saul Guerrero. But Saul Guerrero is the old guy from Rogue One. He's in Clone Wars, but I don't know what season earlier on. He's in Star Wars Rebels too, so he's in a lot of shows and a movie. Saul tells the Bad Batch that they're being hunted because his group refuses to fight for the Empire. He also tells them that the Clone Wars may be over, but the Civil War has just begun. So this is a lot of scenes that we've seen for the trailer are actually this. Throughout the entire show, in 16 episodes, we're going to be learning and seeing many new things we didn't know before. And then we see, since Hunter doesn't kill them, a probe droid is actually sent by Tarkin to spy on them, so he knows everything that went on. Crosshair and Hunter continue to argue about what they should do. Good soldiers follow orders. Hunter say, no, we are our own unique squad. Tech reveals that Omega is an enhanced clone like the Bad Batch. Everybody learning that. So they want to go back to Kamino to rescue her because they know that Tarkin is not good. And on Kamino, the Bad Batch immediately get captured and put up in a locking cell. But fortunately, Omega is right there with them. And she knows that Crosshair is going to betray them. We don't know if she knows that by the Force or if she just knows what's happening because she's heard talks about with Tarkin. And she tells him she knows it's not his fault because he can't help it. This means Omega is aware of the inhibitor chip, which that is a chip that tells everybody to execute Order 66. Tarkin orders Crosshair's chip to be intensified, so what that means is the chip was not fully engaged, it was not fully accepted in his mind, but when they intensify it, it does, and so kind of brainwashes them to doing whatever the Empire wants them to do. Tech figures out a way they can escape because the cells were actually made before the Clone Wars, so they were not meant to put prisoners in there, and Wrecker is a super strong guy, the strongest clone. So Omega, so he punches a hole right at the side. Omega slips in and frees the Bad Batch. They head to the hangar to get their gear while they look for Crosshair. Crosshair's now a completely different clone almost. He's been reprogrammed, and they are able to barely get in the ship. And Omega shows some impressive skills with a blaster, but we now know that Crosshair is their enemy. And by the way, earlier in the episode, we see this Jedi that died. I'm not really sure who it is. Immediately what came to mind was Shakti. She has so many deaths, we don't know for sure. I'm going to be guessing, and maybe in the next live stream we do, I'm going to figure that out. Lama Su helps them escape. Now why? I have no idea. But Lama Su helps them escape by helping the bay door, by keeping them open, the doors open so they could. Omega managed to save Lola, which was a doll of Wreckers. Don't know why he likes that, but I remember that same doll was seen in Clone Wars Season 7. and then they decide where to go, and they plot a course for J-19, an outer rim planet, to visit a friend that could possibly help them. This friend is Cutler Quain, that we've seen is a clone that has been. This is gonna be really interesting because it's a clone that used to be a part of an army, but they stopped to raise with his family, to raise his family, and yeah. We don't know if he executed Order 66. We don't know anything about that, so it's going to be interesting because there's no Jedi there with him. So, technically, what's going to happen? It's going to be really cool. Looking at it, if I'm seeing anything that I missed, perhaps. I don't believe I did, but I probably did. So that's why we're going to have another live stream talking about every single thing. In the first episode, Aftermath, coming very soon. This was an awesome first episode. I'll rate it about it. This beginning was so strong with Order 66, with everything happening. So I'm gonna rate it an 8 out of 10 for the beginning. 8 out of 10 for me, maybe 7. Around that area, could have been better, seeing a little more scenes from Revenge of the Sith. However, this is a story about the clones, not about the revenge of the Sith. But knowing, I like how they had different sharing with us what is currently happening with the events of the movie, and then on this show, connecting it, and it was really cool. They had that saying what's, and then having the speech, listening to that speech, seeing Palpatine's yellow eyes. Them knowing, I think it's going to be a good possibility of them being hunted down by maybe an Inquisitor, maybe Darth Vader himself. That would be awesome. Anyway, this is an 8 out of 10 for me. But I thoroughly enjoyed the 75-minute episode. I wish every episode was this long, but I guess it's going to be around 30 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, that's it for this video. Today is May 4th, so May the 4th be with you, and remember, the Force will be with you.